was far from acceptable for what we should be doing.
Having made such strides recently, won your last four, does that feel like a big step backwards from the progress you'd made?
Yeah, like you said, it's still progress. I mean, if we would be winning anything, it would be a different conversation. But there'll be bump on the road, and I think we're going to take this as a very tough defeat. But again, there's a next game in the next few days and the weekend after. So it's really just about getting back up, and it shows character, and we need to do that.
Any defeat is bad, and a heavy defeat is bad. But the fact it's the Manchester derby, does it make it that much worse?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you always want to beat the rivals. I mean, you always want to win the derbies. And like you said, the games before at home, we done very well, not only against the rivals, but against the top teams. We won them, and then we come here and we lose. I mean, of course, it's tough, and something that we need to do better. And then when we play them next time this season, hopefully we'll be on a better foot.
After a day like today, do the players have to have honest conversations with each other?
No, I think as a group, I think everyone as a group will be looking at themselves first of all, and then after tomorrow we'll have a meeting with the manager, and we'll probably go through everything that went wrong today, and then from there we'll take on the next game.
Thanks for talking to us.
Welcome. Thanks, Phil.
That will be a painful meeting. What frustrated you the most about United today? Because you were optimistic before kick-off.
I'm always optimistic before games. Look, City were brilliant, but I think we'll probably look in more detail at the goals later, but I think a lot of them goals could have been prevented. I think team selection, possibly, he might have got wrong. I think he got carried away a little bit.
The Eriksen-Fernandes thing.
Eriksen-Fernandes thing, yeah. Look, Eriksen is predominantly an attacking player. Now, for him to be playing in that central midfield role against lesser teams is great. You get away with it. But once you go to a Manchester City against a top-class team, you don't know where you are because there's that many quality players around. They keep the ball that well. All of a sudden, you've got Bernardo Silva behind you. You've got Kevin De Bruyne coming at you. You just don't know where you are. It's a totally different world than when you're playing against these so-called lesser teams, and he got found out today. It's not his position. He's the one who probably wants to play in the Fernandes position. Really, that's where he wants to play. But because it's gone so well against these teams, the manager's got carried away a little bit with it, I think, because he's such a good footballer. He's able to find Fernandes at will, really. But in these types of games, you don't get possession. You just don't against Manchester City, and that's where you need to have a defensive midfield player who plays the position really well. He knows what's behind him, he knows what's in front, he knows when to press, he knows when to come and sit back and just diffuse the situation. He doesn't know that position, and I feel for him because I'm a very similar player. I wanted to be the one like Fernandes going forward, but in them big games, you look back, the manager never really played me in them games against the best teams. You think of your Barcelonas, your Real Madrids, because you knew positionally sense-wise, in them games, I wasn't clever enough to do that because I was brought up as more of a midfield player. You talk about your Nicky Butts, your Roy Keanes, your Michael Carricks, played the position brilliantly well. I think he had a player on there today with great experience on the bench in Casemiro, who would have been a lot more suited to.
I mean, before the game I said Casemiro, he probably is the one player on the bench that he's desperate to get in there, but at the minute he's not been given the excuse to play him. You've had a little dabble at management. Do you feel as if you can do that 4 games on the spin, but still, no, it doesn't matter. I'm playing this way.
You've got to take the opposition to account. Today is totally different.
It's the hardest test, isn't it?
Well, it's the biggest test in world football. At the minute is playing it going up against Manchester City, not just Europe, not just England. It's the biggest test in the world, going up a team who keep the ball so well with so many talented players. You have to have 2 players in the middle of the pitch who play the position brilliantly well. Now, the only 2 they've got at the minute are McTominay and Casemiro, or Fred, you could say, in that type of a position, who do sometimes get dragged out a bit. But to play an attacking player there, you'd say it's brave in some ways. It's a very attacking team. But whatever you do against these teams, you don't get possession. I remember going back to the Champions League final against Barcelona, we thought, we're going to overrun these, we're going to have too much for them. We didn't touch the ball for 83 minutes. First 7 minutes were great. After that, you don't touch the ball. And these games are very much like that. So it's imperative you have 2 players in the middle of the pitch who know the position. Today, even McTominay at times today, he got dragged out of position. He got dragged out of position.
The third goal.
For the third goal, and that leaves Eriksen. the man who's not really a central midfield player, on his own, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know to drop off, he didn't know to go to the ball. He's put in awkward positions, and I just felt the experience of Casemiro, what he's done in the game, what he's done in that position, that was a game for him today. But look, looking back, City were brilliant. They might, even if you do play them 2 players today, it still could have been 6-3. It still could have been, but I think United would have had a better chance being a bit more solid in the middle of the pitch.
OK, the City did win 6-3, and here is their manager, Pep Guardiola.
Pep, very simply, how good were your side today, particularly in the first half?
Yeah, I was really good. I scored 4 goals that we couldn't score really more. So always in the half time we thought we have to continue, but always more difficult. And yeah, they played better in the second half, but yeah, in the last minutes we were flat. But yeah, you know, great victory, good game. Everyone was happy in the stadium, and they enjoyed it. We enjoyed it, and against our rival Man United. So yeah, good night for good afternoon for us.
As well as the scoreline, for you as a coach, again, particularly in that first half, what did you like the most?
We could, yeah, in general was really good. How aggressive we were without the ball. They could not play because, of course, when they have the Lisandro and Bruno and Eriksen and all of them, they have quality to play. We saw a little bit in a few minutes in the second half, but in the first half we were there in the terms. We were really good. We were the spaces, and after the quality of the players we have up front make the difference.
As well as the quality you have, was also on their show today, not for the first time, the desire.
It happened for the day one we are here, so this is not negotiable. So we can win or lose, but the effort and the desire and help each other. But many things we can do better, and some players still are not. They were not good today, and we have to improve.
Is that the sign of you always looking for perfection, even though it's a tremendous scoreline? You've got 2 players score a hat trick, but you're still not completely happy.
Listen, perfection doesn't exist, so it's impossible. But we have to try to look for and go over there. So that's for sure. So, not the result, the 6 goals they did. We have done it good. We can do better, and many players, a few players, sloppy passes, we lost it, and that is not good. We have to be more consistent in our passes. So, and at the end of final third, you can be more creativity, you can take more risk, but in some areas, still we were not good.
When United scored that 3rd goal, Sean said to me, Pep won't be happy, you know. You know him well, don't you?
Yeah, but I think even if you speak to Mo or Paul, if you're that comfortable in a game, the last thing you want to do is give false hope, because then it just makes your game even harder, because United were going to keep going to try and get another one just to close the gap in the situation so it doesn't look as bad as it was. So to concede 3 goals, you could see for the first time, I would say, they looked like they took their foot off the gas, which when you brought on the fresh legs, I thought Alvarez is going to want to get a goal, Mahrez, Cole Palmer, you thought they was going to go for it, but it seemed like they stepped backwards rather than forward. Mind you, in the last 8 home games, they've scored 36 goals now. Manchester City.
What's conceding 3 goals? It doesn't make any difference.
But it does to
But it does, absolutely. And to be honest, he's got to be like that. I mean, you look at, they let, you know, the Champions League slip from being sloppy. You know, they're in total control. So when you get into these positions in the league, you've got to practice closing games out, winning by more, however you're going to do it. But to concede 3 goals in the second half, as much as overall he'll be happy, there's still something there for him to work on, still something there for him to be frustrated about.
OK, but it's still the 3 points for Manchester City. They have blown Manchester United away today by 6 goals to 3.